crew, and welcome back to Just Keep It Real podcast. And I'm your host, The Real Makayla, and thank you all for tuning in to yet another episode. We are moving right along in season 5. I hope you all have enjoyed the conversation so far. You go back and listen from beginning to now, and you will be caught up. You should already know, for the whole month, we are talking about nothing but empowerment. How can we empower each other? How can we be supporting one another? Go listen to the first 2 episodes. We had some heavy hitters coming in, had some heavy topics coming in, and we got some more great conversations coming up for the season to come. And also stay tuned for the end of the season. You never know what I have in store. But we're not going to prolong the time. Thank you all. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and turn on your post notifications so you do not miss any uncut, unclean, unfiltered, real episodes. We have 2 amazing guests on the show today. They are going to explain to us what the role of faith has in empowerment. Mr. DeAreon and Karmen Johnson, who are going to truly share their insights on what they do. I want to give a quick and brief introduction of both of our guests. First, we have DeAreon Johnson. He is a Dallas native from Oak Cliff and a proud graduate of DeSoto High School, class of 2015. Yeah. He went to Texas College, and also that's where he earned his bachelor's degree in business administration in 2020. But what's even more powerful and more impactful is that just at the age of 18, he was called to preach. He was called to preach just at the age of 18. Can you imagine that? And he preached his first sermon at 20 years old. But that's not all he did. He's also a proud member of the Phi Beta Sigma fraternity and has served in many leadership roles, including choir and CGA Chapman, Library Club president, vice president of the Beta Phi chapter, and president of a campus ministry. He is devoted to the love of his life, Miss Johnson, who is also a powerhouse in herself. Also is the founder of Escaping the Wilderness, a faith-based ministry that encourages people to trust God in their toughest seasons. She is the East Texas native from Jacksonville, Texas, and is a graduate of Jacksonville High School. She holds an associate's degree in science from Tyler Junior College. And she also has a bachelor's degree in psychology from Texas Woman University. And she is currently pursuing her master's degree, which we love supporting, continuing your education, a master's degree in applied behavior analysis. Help me welcome Karmen Johnson. Karmen Johnson.
Nice to meet y'all. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us. Been truly grateful for your host, Makayla, for extending out the invitation. Truly grateful and thankful for this opportunity to be able to share insights on faith and the role of empowerment, and also share our testimony.
Yes, it was just definitely an honor to be here. Thank you for allowing us to, again, share our testimonies and just walks of life on her platform, and to be able to reach and touch others as well.
Thank you guys for taking the invitation and coming on. I just appreciate it. But I want to give you guys time to introduce yourself. Anything I didn't cover in the introductions, but to go ahead and just share who you are to the audience.
She previously stated, proud native Oak Cliff. All about the youth. I love DeSoto to this very day. All about the blue. Also, currently I'm the youth pastor at Morning Star Missionary Baptist Church. I've been there for a little over a year now. This year marks 8 years of me preaching and then being in ministry. Also, I coach football as well. I am currently in my 3rd year of coaching football. I am the offensive line coach at the Roosevelt High School Roosevelt Mustangs, baby. That's the Vep Nation. Roosevelt High School Mustangs. I'm the offensive line coach this year. This will be my 2nd year of coaching, and I'm going ahead of myself. 3rd year of coaching football. I also coach a little bit of basketball here and there. School teacher. This is my 2nd year teaching. I currently teach 5th grade English. Okay, we're in star season, so keep us teachers in prayer, because that star is nothing to play with, but I enjoy my students. Currently also married to the love of my life. Met her when a couple of years ago. Matter of fact, it was late 2022 when I went to homecoming. I said, it's going to have a little fun and just mingle with my brothers or whatnot. Then next thing you know it, I'm look, and a lot of people know this about me. I'm very little. The way I dress kind of look crazy. For some reason I had on my stepping boots and a cowboy hat that day. And being my wife being from the country, she thought I was from out there. I'm like, no, I'm a city guy.
Met him, his hat caught my eye, and I was like, "Oh, hey, are you from East Texas?" He was like, "No, County." So yeah.
I just firmly believe my favorite scripture that I use and I apply it to my life. Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So I never let nothing stop me. At times I do get discouraged, but I just believe whoever and I also believe in life, surround yourself with positive people. Cause you're only gonna go where your circle, like you only gonna go where your circle is going. Everybody who come with you, they can't go with you. These are lessons that I've had to learn over time because everybody who started with you just ain't gonna be able to go to the next phase that God has for you. And I in 8 years of ministry, hate to say it, but that's the reality. It's been plenty of friends that I have lost along the way. Some, want and I tell a lot of people this. Some people just cannot always handle the anointing on your life. So that's why you tend to lose a lot of people along the way. And this is this conversation me and my wife have a lot. It's like some of the same people we supported. It's like we don't get that same support. Then we come to the realization like, look here, we were made to stand out, not fit in. So I truly believe that I can really count on one hand how many true friends that I do have. Like I said, like man, look, I'm a huge fan of professional wrestling. Matter of fact, I got my championship belt that my LB gave me for my birthday a couple years ago on my dresser. I do not feel like getting up and then getting it, but it's the spinner belt, and right now I'm one of the ones who was shocked when John Cena turned heel. I saw it coming.
Don't get me started. I'm a big wrestling fan myself. I should have tell you.
I know a lot of folks upset I saw it coming, but I love it. I ain't watching this much because I'm ripping and running, but I love one thing about me. I love football. But before I loved football, I was a huge fan of professional wrestling. If I could, I would be a wrestler. Just being honest, that's just how much I love studying the sport. I love going to church, and I love creating memories with my wife. True, another background story with her. Me and her only dated 10 months. When I'm a firm believer, when you know, you know.
Go ahead. Teach them.
When I saw her, I was like,
But I will say this. I tell them like, look, I've done the whole 3 years in a relationship, did 2 years. I'm like, listen, I'm not a long-term girlfriend. Go ahead and put that out there. I know what I want. I know what I desire. I'm gonna let you know what it's about. I'm giving you at least a year. A year and a half is already pushing it, but I'm giving you just a year.
Girl, you speak.
Because it's like, especially where I'm at this age, I just previously turned 32. So he is a few years younger than me, which was different. But what also caught my eye was that he was very mature for his age. Now, don't get me wrong, he do play.
Look, I ain't gonna talk that. My dad even called me 1,000 tons of fun. I'm jolly. I play too much. I play too much.
I'm still looking for. We always find ways to because he doesn't like it when I'm upset, and he always do what he can to cheer me up. But I had to let it be known ahead of time. I've been through a lot. Just for with my background. Yes, I went to Jacksonville High School, East Texas, born and raised. I went and got my associates at Tyler Junior College, obtained my bachelor's at Texas Women University. Took a break in between there. I will say before I started my journey in my master's, and within that break is how I end up getting into Escape in the Wilderness. I went through some very not so good relationships that led to me even before then. I felt like I was in a space even at a younger age. So when I started for junior college, I was looking for love, like the love that I knew that I had and possessed. I wanted to give it and I wanted to receive the same love that I know I give. And I felt I was doing that, but giving my love to the wrong individuals. It did nothing but leave me completely like heartbroken, as well as I dealt with so much stress. There was a point where I took on so much stress and didn't realize I was taking on so much stress, and it led me to developing anxiety really bad, as well as stress-induced seizures connected to the anxiety. And then during that time, this is when I was kind of moving on and off between East Texas and Dallas, and had to move back in with my mother. And I had my privileges, or like my license and all that, kind of taken away from me from driving, which was hard. It extended from 3 months to 6 months because someone dealing with the seizure, they want you to go a certain amount of time without having any, not only for the safety of for yourself, but for others that's on the road. So that was hard, having to fully depend on my mother to get me around here and there, and then, I felt like the independence that I had of driving myself was just completely taken away. And that's when I went through a deep depression at that time. And I even isolated myself from a lot of people, especially when I expressed to certain individuals, this is what I'm dealing with. And I felt that I was not getting that support that I was looking for. And you would think the people that consider themselves as your friends, you've done X, Y, and Z for them. But in that moment when you're down and out and you're looking to them for help, just like they did, they look for you for help. And then I wasn't getting that from certain people. And so it really had me to reconsider a lot of things of who were really my friends. But my mother did push me to a point of, well, just like, even another thing I want to add, I am a cancer survivor. Developed cancer at the age of 15. I had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, which was a tumor. Is when the lymph nodes in the body start to grow abnormally. And it's because of the white blood cells. There's something going on with the white blood cells. At a young age, at 15, and I still remember this day of how I found out. One day I remember that I just wasn't feeling well, so I stayed with my great-grandmother at the time. My mother took me there, let me stay there and rest, and, so on and so forth. Then when it came time for her to pick me up, I was complaining about a crick in my neck. And we all get that, right? We don't think nothing else of it, because we was thinking maybe I slept wrong, because I did sleep a while for the day. Moving forward to the next day, I felt 10 times worse. Like, so bad. I'm literally leaning over the sink, trying to crimp my hair, get ready for school. Mother asked me, she was like, what is wrong? What's going on? I was like, Mama, something don't feel right. I don't feel good. And she was like, well, okay, well, just go sit down, on the chair and just rest for a bit. So I'm sitting in the chair, lean back, and she noticed this huge knot. When I say this knot was about the size of like a baseball, was sitting right here on the side of my neck. And she was like, I said, like, complaining about my neck was hurting. I still feel like I have a crick in my neck. And she's like, that's not a crick in your neck. So then we went to the ER for them to run tests. And that's when I found out what I had. And it was crazy, because it's like, I didn't know too many people in my family that had the type of cancer I had. I know I have family that had, breast cancer, but what the type of cancer I had, nobody really knew how it came about. So after that, I had to, I think the next day or the following week, we got on the road and headed to Children's Medical Center in Dallas. I spent the next, I think it was 3 months, I was in the hospital receiving care there, treatment, chemotherapy. And even after, when I was able to finally be able to go home, I still was doing continued treatment, where I would come to Dallas and stay for 3 days doing treatment, as well as I was receiving radiation treatment in Longview. And at that time, a lot of times I stayed with my grandmother, my father's mom, to get that. And it was definitely hard. Even then, when I was dealing with that and in the hospital, I was concerned about getting too far behind in school. So my mother, who stayed with me majority of the whole time I stayed in the hospital, she was there with me. She made sure I was getting have assignments brought back to me, so I can be able to do them. She would have like my family members bring my work and bring it back to me, so I can get caught up. And as well as for me to go sit for my tests, was able to go to the school and take my tests. But then they had to also know, what was going on, because, we're not able to wear any hats or head coverings And the hard part also was like losing all my hair. And I knew I was going to lose it, but I didn't know when. But I started wearing like head scarves and head wraps, and had to let the school know what was going on, why I had them in the first place. But I didn't realize then, but during that time, I feel that God was showing me just how strong I was and how resilient I became dealing with that at a young age. And nobody, especially if no one else has went through that, or because I mean, nobody knows fully of what it's like of dealing with any type of cancer unless they don't went through it themselves. Just seeing like all other kids and teens like my age or even younger dealing with that, I always was set on wanted to help other kids like me. So that's just one story I wanted to share with you. What led up to Escaping the Wilderness? I just remember one day I was listening to, I think I was on a podcast. I was listening to, I can't think of her name. It will come to me. But I kept hearing this word wilderness over and over again, and like in just various places. And I was just like, what is the wilderness? I didn't know nothing much about it. So I got into, I started reading about it, and I got a lot of it from the book of Exodus, the book of Leviticus and Numbers, where it talked about Moses. Jesus was using Moses to save the slaves from, correct me if I'm wrong, there was a king that was over them, and they pretty much felt that there was nothing better of what they were going to get except for what was dealing with at that time. But really they were suffering. And Jesus wanted Moses to take them through the wilderness to get to the promised land. And even though they were questioning about him, as if like, you as one person, what can you do to help all of us? And even Moses started questioning himself. I was like, you chose me out of anybody. You don't lead these people to a better place. And they kept questioning him, and they ended up eventually following him through it, but then they were still questioning him and questioning where they were going, what they were doing. And then they start, dealing with some stuff in the wilderness as well. But long story short, that's when I was led to start getting more into my word. I did grow up in the church. I'm not going to lie. Eventually, I think when I went off to junior college, I wasn't going to church as much. I feel like I strayed away from it. But what got me back to going back was when I was dealing with those not so good relationships that had me in a very dark place. There's even times I said to myself, like, I didn't want to be here. I'm not saying like I physically wanted to harm myself, but I just did not want to be here, and dealing with any of this. And another thing, what took a toll on me as well was losing my grandmother, my mom's mom, my nana. And I was able to actually have one last phone call with her. And this is when I think I moved back a second time back to Dallas. But I remember when I told her I took a job up here, and she didn't seem too happy about it. But I noticed something wasn't right either. I think the last Thanksgiving that we had a chance to be together as a family before she had passed.
We are here with you. You do not have to feel alone in this, because just hearing your testimony, it's just making me tear up, because a lot of things that you went through similar, I went through growing up as a child, going through the bad relationships. And you finally say you lost your grandmother. My grandmother played a key role in my life. When I feel like my mom couldn't reach me, my grandmother was the only one I could go and lay on. Sometimes I wouldn't say no words. I would just lay on her and cry. And it's just, she would never say nothing, but just hug me, because she just knew what I needed. So just hearing your testimony, hold on, give me a minute.
Yeah, I mean, I do still have my dad's mom still here, as well as my grandfather and my grandfather, which are my dad's parents. They're still here, and I'm grateful for them still being here. I just know, like, I guess I was around my mom's mom more, and we did a lot more things together, from always spending the night with her, always asking, I was like, hey, you want to go to jalapeno tree? It's my treat. I just want to spend time with you. To always seeing her work when she worked at the daycare for years. I just pop up and see how she's doing and talk to her. And I still to this day remember her favorite drink from Dairy Queen is a large Diet Coke with extra ice. She always made sure to give them before she went home. But I know spiritually, like, she's still with me, but I know that she would definitely be proud of me. Like I tell him, if she was here, she would just love him so much, because she was definitely the epitome of a servant in the church. She was on the usher board faithfully.
And I felt like that. And I told her, I said, that's another thing we both had in common because both of my grandmothers on the usher board.
And even my great grandparents on my mom's side faithfully went to church as well. And I know they would love him as well. And even my grandparents that I have to this day on my dad's side, like they appreciate him, accept him, and they know he is a good man.
It's funny, and I know this to be true because when I first met her great grandfather, got arrested, so I go back to me praying too much. I had him laughing because I think we was having a conversation about snacks, and I said I'm the type of person I hide snacks up. Cause at the time I was living with my mother, grandmother, so I was like, look, I'm the type of person to hide snacks under my bed and in my drawer, and I know nobody can't get to him. And he just thought that was the funniest thing he had ever heard. I said, I ain't got snacks in my work drawer. I ain't know about just legit.
But with all that to say, the reason how I got started in doing Escape in the Wilderness is learning that it's pretty much having faith in God while going through your wilderness season. And so I wanted to create a platform such as YouTube and, to be able to reach other people who, because we all go through our own wilderness season. And that's a time of when God is testing our faith and seeing where our faith lies. And if it's going to be within ourselves, within others, or it's going to be within Him to help us get through the wilderness in order to get to where it is where we need to be. And so that's how it came about. That's why I'm so passionate about it. I love what I do. I've just always been someone that loved to help others. And I still to this day, as I'm growing and getting older, it's like I learn stuff about myself every day. I pray and talk to God every day. And he just, a lot of times he works in mysterious ways, and he comes at times when you really never know when he's going to come.
With her helping others, she's also helped me a lot in the process. Because there was some stuff like even as a man, just talking about relationship or being like it was one night where I had a dream. I just went out and started crying. And she woke up and I was wrong with it. She just caressed me because as a man we taught, men don't cry, this, that, and the third. So she has been that key point because I had mentioned to her as well about my past relationship. It was a point where I wanted to commit suicide. This is how deep. Yeah, this is back when I was still living in Tyler. I mean, it was, and I beat myself up for a long time. And one thing I can truly say about Karmen, she looked me dead in the eye, and she said, "Don't think anything good is gonna come out of anybody that's done you wrong." And those are words that stand with me to this very day. When she said that, it was like I just froze. So I can truly say this one right. Well, after her sharing her testimony, she made me comfortable sharing. Just open up like certain times when I think when I preached, she was there when I preached in front of my family at the family reunion, and just being able to just share the testimony, got it standing. Because I don't preach for no applause, but just got this stand ovation. She makes me feel her being her open up, sharing her testimony makes me feel comfortable and sharing my testimony. She's like, "Hey, look, DJ, you a man, but you still human."
Yeah. And even with, like I expressed to him, of the relationships I did go through, the one relationship where I felt that when I was dealing with the most stress. And it's true that stress can kill.
Silent killer.
I remember there were some things that happened within the home. And then I was on my way to a baby shower. Said I was going to get myself together, go to this baby shower. And also at this time, I was doing a fast. Mind you, I knew nothing about fasting at that time. This was back in 2018 or 2019. I want to say 2019, because I think in July or so is when I ended up coming back home to East Texas. Doing this fast with this church that I became part of at the time. Knew nothing about it. It was for 21 days. But in the midst of all of that, the breakup and, dealing with that, processing everything that happened, things happening after that, went to baby shower. Everything was going fine, but it's like I was eating and I was drinking water, but I still felt hungry and dehydrated. And then I just remember one of my sorority sisters were asking me about if I wanted to sit down. And I was like, yeah, I think I'll sit down. As soon as we started walking, like, inside, I just felt my body, like, shaking. Even previously, like, the few months before then, I had, like, 2 fainting spells and was ended up in the hospital. I didn't know what was going on, because that don't normally happen to me. But this time, my body was completely shaking and I collapsed. I blacked out, collapsed. That was it. Everyone that was there was scared. They couldn't wake me up. They said my eyes was rolling back in my head. I was not being responsive. They thought I was gone. And I just remember waking up in the hospital. I'm thinking that could have been my last time here on earth, because the amount of stress of that everything I just witnessed, I feel like that probably that was my last time, and that was. But I realized also in the end of that, it's like God had to. The signs was there that the relationship was just not for me, but I continued to stay, and I've been one to always try to make something work with the individual, but the same wasn't being reciprocated, and at the time I wasn't really. It's like I was seeing it, but I wasn't. I'm still trying to. I had hope that it was going to work out. So I feel like God had to hurt me in the worst possible way in order for me to get out of that situation and move back home. And so that's another thing that led to me working on myself and realizing, still had some bumps in the road, but I had to learn over time, as well as me growing up and have the wisdom and realize that what I deserve and the things I don't have to deal with and put up with, from certain individuals. Excuse me. And realizing that what true genuine love is. The way I know what I have and what I give, it should be the same being reciprocated. So that's what I had learned from all of that experience, from all of that.
And to kind of add on to that, and we come at this conversation before, and I know this may be a little bit off topic, but you could be the one for somebody, but they may not be the one for you.
Talk about it.
And that's something. And I say, when I say that's something, we both have learned too. It's like, okay, you and all three of us, and it's obvious we all have been through some heartbreak. You could have all the qualities, everything that is to be that strong man and strong woman, but if they're not the one for you, they're gonna show you. Because I believe the signs be there from the beginning, but us trying to work things out. Sometimes we hold on to something that God really be trying to tear apart, and sometimes God will literally make it uncomfortable to the point where you have to really get to your breaking point. Like, okay, now. But also, I strongly say this too: when God is saying, "Hey, look, get out of it right then and right there," that don't mean wait, because the longer you stay in it, the worse it's going to be. Because I'm here to tell you, I'm not ashamed to say it was a point of time where I had to live under some sheets. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you know about that kind of ministry. We talking about Terry.
Hello? I'm Terry, because that's a whole nother conversation. They're not ready for that. They're not ready for that. That's a whole other conversation. That's for a whole other episode.
But the more to the story, like a lot of it wouldn't happen had I got out of the situation first. Should have left it alone at the end of 2020, but don't. But and also, you can't let too many people try to manipulate you. Just wanted to add it on.
But yeah, I believe that's all I wanted to add and share.
Sorry.
We have covered so much in this whole time. I was just listening. I was just like, I'm enjoying I'm trying to tell you. Sometimes, I just like I already say, it just flows. And we're having a conversation. This is a conversation between just three people, just having a conversation. A whole section we have covered, an entire section.
Look at God.
I'm trying to tell you, we haven't covered that section. The whole beginning part, both of you, just hearing your testimony, hearing what you go through, and it's true. We're not what we used to be. And when God comes in and He steps in, it changes the entire. And when you say that yes to Him, I definitely understand that. Terry, listen here. Like I said, that's a whole nother conversation.
We'll be here long enough. We talk about it. We talking about the spitting up that spirit. Oh my God. I'm Baptist from heart, but I do believe, that's a whole other time.
It's gonna come a time when we're gonna have that conversation. Y'all stay tuned. Y'all don't know what's up to come for season 6.
Got my principal in his face. Dr. Larry Jackson. He's like, Trent, move, son, let's go. Hey.
Don't, man. When you in that deep, when you down in that trial, you be like,
It's funny though. You say roll of faith in the power. That's where that faith come in. Cause we talk about faith. You gotta have that faith inside mustard seed. That faith with both of us knowing that, hey, what we have been through and knowing what you desire, knowing what you want. And also that comes with, look here, you got to be specific with God too. Even though we always talk about, hey, look, God know my heart. God, no, God wants you to be specific with him. I said, God, like after I went through my last break, I said, look, hey, look, here. And I had to, and a lot of times too, sometimes we got to reevaluate our own self. What am I doing? What am I doing wrong? My problem was I would try to fall in love too quick and try to jump into something new without taking the proper steps for it. But that faith is out. But when it comes to having faith in the role of empowerment, it's like this here. Like I just previously said, knowing what I have been through and knowing what I want. I said, God, I'm tired of getting my heart broke. I said, God, send me a beautiful woman who is strong, just strong in the word. And ironically, I think I went to my last breakup in 2022. My dad, because me and my dad are so close. When I say I'm like my dad all the way around, he's a preacher. I'm second generation preacher. I forgot to say that earlier. He literally said, "You never know. You may meet one of your sorrows down the line." And boom.
It was kind of funny. I already had intentions of going. Was invited to a homecoming. I said this would be my first HBCU homecoming, and at the time I was kind of like dating, but it still wasn't going nowhere. And I was just I was back at that place. I was like, okay, God, you know what? Maybe I'm not ready for this like I thought I was. I'm just gonna be single again and just work on myself again. Give it some time. I ain't gonna worry about guys right now. That's where I was literally at. And so I was like, I'm gonna go to this homecoming, kind of mix and mingle, see. I was still to myself, but just kind of like interacting, so on and so forth. But never would I would have thought that's where I was going to meet my husband of today at this very event.
Who knew she would have met somebody in with white pants, army stepping boots, baseball shirt, and a cowboy hat?
And on top of that, and it's funny because it's like me and him literally were the only ones that took a picture together. I don't have no pictures with nobody else that day except him. And it's like, other guys were there and were trying to talk to me, but some were being too pushy or too pushy. Like following me. I'm like, oh, yeah, no. I was like, can you please help me get him away from me?
What?
Because he's doing too much. They were turning me off right there. And it's like that he was doing his own thing, I was doing my own thing, but we would kind of like meet back up, and he would kind of mess with me a little bit. I remember he actually didn't call me by the wrong name. I'm like, excuse me, sir, that's not my name.
I have another homegirl named Crystal, and thinking Chris, I'm trying to say Karmen, but I wanted to say Crystal. I'm terrible with names, so I said, okay, Crystal. She said Crystal, and I thing on the white pants. She literally came real quick. I dropped on my knee, like, so now I got this brown knee stain on some white pants. Just like, and it's funny how both our stories are similar because I was kind of talking to somebody, but I wasn't. Only thing, and that's why I don't believe in this whole astronomy thing, because I'm an Aquarius. All of Aquarius ain't the same. Only thing I remember about her birthday day before mine, and it was one of those situations where she had to fit me in her schedule, and I had found out she was in the same town I was in, and me being a preacher, hey, I'm preaching tomorrow because homecoming festivities be on the weekend. I said, I'm preaching tomorrow. I come. She said she wouldn't be able to make it. I was like, you know what? I knew this wasn't going nowhere. The next 2 days later, I don't know how I caught the flu. Had to miss a whole week of work. I let her know, and she didn't reach out to me at all. I said, okay, yeah, oh yeah. That's how I was doing and whatnot, and then I told one of the coaches about that. She said, dang, D. One of the coaches like, dang, D. For all you know, you can still be sick. But, needless to say that I knew right there, hey, look, if it ain't there, you can't force it. So, ironically, and this is the whole time sliding in the DMs, I saw she posted them on Snapchat.
I posted I got a snow cone. I didn't know if you wanted one. You better come get one. They free. And then he showed me 2 days after that he done went and got
it was later, like a Chick-fil-A. That's my flu was cleared up then.
Got him a milkshake or something.
I got me a strawberry. My favorite, I always get it when I go to Chick-fil-A, a strawberry milkshake, no whipped cream, no cherry. And I'm sitting there drinking it out, and I took a picture. Now, I had a video, and I said I got mine. Then later on, when I went home, I was getting that last rib and stuff, and I sent a video, and then conversation just took off.
And then I guess we all picked up on, I was like, are you flirting with me? he was like, maybe. And he was like, are you flirting with me? I was like, then eventually he finally asked me on a date. And I couldn't wait to tell my mom. I was like, Mama, I think we on to something. You know, like I think it's talking, you know, go say it. And I told her also I was like, he's a minister too. She's like, oh, okay. And my mama, she in the church, she's serving at the church. She's a missionary. You know, I was like, what should I wear? Because he's the first person that I've dated that's a minister. So in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, this gonna be perfect. That gonna be perfect. You know, but I'm glad he gave me the reassurance that I don't have to be all of that, just be myself. So, and of course, I know how to be in the presence of others, especially.
Thank the Lord.
You know, of course, but I mean, just me as a person, I know the time for certain stuff and the time for not other stuff. You know, but you know, I was getting prepared for this date. I remember my mom was saying, I have a nice, like, those long, you know, those sweaters, you know,
sweater dresses. Yeah.
And then some nice, like, leather tights or whatever, and some cute boots. My mother was like, sure you want to wear those tights? You know, don't want to seduce him. I'm like, Mama, what? I'm not, that's not why I have pants on. She's like, don't be trying to seduce the pastor. I'm like, Mama, no, I'm not seducing him. I just thought that I was like, is this not appropriate? And she was like, no, it's fine. She was just picking one. But so went on our date. The place that we did go, it was like a karaoke kind of place, but we eventually.
And discussed the shot. Cause Tyler, the thing about Tyler, even though it's a small city, it's quite a bit. And I kind of got mad, so I'm like, I ain't put all this stuff here when I leave Tyler. But Andy's had always been that we. If you look, I haven't put a picture of the first date, but it wasn't the picture. When we had our first date, it was like a karaoke little spot. Mm-hmm. My homeboy Arthur took the picture. We wound up leaving there because it wasn't like us. If I'm making sense, I mean, I like karaoke, but it wasn't all kind
of. The environment wasn't us.
So all we did was get some water, and we got that free water, and we was gone down the street to Andy's, and we sat in that car. And talked all night long.
And then also like the picture that was taken by his friend. Oh. I remember he made the comment. He was like, "This don't look like a boyfriend and girlfriend kind of picture. This looks like we've been together for years." And I was like,
I'm looking. I'm like, this look. I don't know. I don't. For some, I don't know what came over when I'm like, this looks like years. And then what's so crazy now, and I like it. You said we hit everything. We kind of we talk about empowerment. Here's where it gets interesting, and here's where I can truly say I knew she was the one after a few months of dating. When it comes to the empowerment, look at our testimony how we got married after 10 months. That empowerment piece, you got empowerment forgiveness. That word is ringing around here. Forgive if you really want something in your life. For those who are seeking marriage, seeking desire a relationship, I had to learn how to forgive my exes. And it was tough because you block, you do me wrong, you block, I don't want to see. But that out of side of mine ain't always the case. So what I had to do, I said, you know what, and I challenged her to do this too. I said I had to unblock the main three that did me wrong. And I said, hey, look, I forgive you. I don't wish nothing because at the end of the day, I'm still a man of the cloth. I can't preach one thing, and I had to do this not just for her, but I had to do this for myself too. Because as a young preacher, they got the binoculars. I can't just preach one thing and then live another way. I say, I forgive you. I wish you nothing but the best. And that forgiveness, that's empowerment. You're empowered. That's that empowerment because once you forgive somebody, that's a whole lot of weight that's been released. Because and the one thing I had to learn, I've learned too, is that people who do you wrong, at the end of the day, they're going home and sleeping at night. And you're carrying this. So I say, hey, I text all of them. I forgive you. 2 out of the 3 responded. The third one did not respond. But I said, you know, hey, I did what I was supposed to do. And that's one thing I was sharing with Karmen. I said, look, whether or not they respond, you did what you're supposed to do to forget. Because I had to learn this too. Forgiveness ain't about them. It's really about you. Yeah. That's that empowerment. And until when you hold on to something, it's like how can I put it? I don't want to just be talking out of both sides of my mouth. If you don't forgive nobody, they keep that power over you. When you forgive them, it's like you taking that power back. And then 2, I had to do that there for the us part because why would I make her pay for something that somebody else did do? why would I make her pay for something that she didn't do?
And yeah, the same thing with him. It's like I moved on, but I was still, I guess it was like certain things and traits that I picked up from my exes, making sure I don't see that in him, or I had to let them know, like, hey, this is what I dealt with, and there's anything that came like similar to what I went through, I addressed it to him, and but I also had to learn about forgiveness as well. And I remember when we had first talked about it, like early part of us dating, and I prayed, I think that night, and asked God, I'm like, okay, God, well, who do you feel like I need to forgive first? And I think the next day or a couple of days after that, the guy that I dated back in junior college, this was the one I was with for 3 years. One I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with, or we was going to be together forever, and that was not the case. He actually reached out to me on Snapchat, and I was just taken back because it's like I recognized the name, but I just couldn't really believe that it was him. But it was, and I didn't think that was a coincidence because all these years done went by, and it's the first time he's reaching out to me. And so I told him, I was happy that he actually found me so I can be able to tell him, like, hey, I forgive you. I forgive everything that had happened. And just want to let you know the Lord's been very good to me. And he read the message but never responded back. And I told DJ, am I supposed to is he supposed to say something, or am I supposed to just leave it for what it is? He said probably won't get the response. So, but I guess he was thinking he could still kind of look at my stuff, or he can have that access to me. Even if he didn't respond, I'm like, no, that's not the case. We're not handling anything back. I said what I need to say for me, and because I don't want that no more on it, because this was the person that, after he had broken up with me, when I tell you I felt like my heart was completely ripped out of my chest, I was crying for like days, bawling my eyes out, crying to my mother, laying my head in my lap, kind of upset. Like, that's how bad I was hurting. And I was thinking this was something that was going to work out, but it never did. And even with the other guys I had to eventually forgive as well, I was actually surprised they responded back. And it was nothing negative or out the way, which I was surprised about, and I even showed them what was said, but I'm happy that it was nothing like negative to say that was said, because I don't want it affecting what we have going on, because I didn't do what I need to do in regards to them, if that makes sense. But yeah, forgiveness, it's not easy either, because it's when I tell you, it was I had this tightness in my chest of trying to even speak to individuals who I have not spoken in years, that I used to date for that, for a certain period of time. It's like the enemy, the devil, didn't want me to say anything. And I just felt this tug, like, no, don't do it, don't do it. Like, it was so dang hard to let this out. But when I finally let it out, it sent the message. The tightness went away. All of that was on me, that heaviness, it completely went away. It was like a breath of fresh air that was finally said. And now I can move on with my life. You can move on. And, besides the first person, like the other two, they actually was happy to hear from me, see that I'm doing well. They even told me congratulations and see me that I'm happy. I've grown and I'm happy, and I'm married, and they realize I've came a long way. Pretty much proud of me, So yeah, forgiveness is definitely a big thing that has to be done. Be able to move forward, because you don't want to bring anything that you have not done so in the past to interfere with your marriage, because then you'll be taking everything out on your spouse, and because you didn't forgive them, or you're trying to find this thing, and see, making sure it's not what you just experienced, because I was trying to dodge any and everything that looked anything what I just went through.
I understand. 1,000% understand.
Yeah. Oh. And I had to let them know, like, hey, this is the certain stuff I noticed, and I'm not trying to deal with that. But then he realized he didn't realize he was doing that, or he understand why I was feeling the way I was feeling on top of that. So we're able to talk about it and move forward in that aspect.
And also, when it comes to us as men, a lot of times we have to really take a step back to us, listen to your significant other, because you have to really know what the last person did. Like what the first few months of us dating, I was like, hey, what did this person do? What did this person do? And the reason why I was asking them questions because I didn't want to step on a landmine and wouldn't know it. Because
Talk about it. Teach them.
because you don't want to just do us is we do something innocently. Like I'm not gonna go deep off in the situation. I was gonna go to a certain place because I'm a school teacher. I'm teaching at the time. I was teaching off in the hood. Okay, I'm not gonna say what school I was teaching at, but I had a I wouldn't say I had a rough week, but the last few days of that week was pretty rough. I said I'm gonna go to this certain spot. At the time, I didn't know it was a place that singles really hung. I just looked at it as, hey, I need to blow off the steam. That first, I knew like when it was on because I also me Coma's long distance too. So just about her, and I will get off into that. That's that faith. It's not my faith and empowerment. For those who are in long distance relationships, you gotta have some faith, and you gotta be strong because it's but how she responded so well, but then when she broke it down, I didn't. I said, okay, now I see what I see what you're talking about because the quickest thing for us, man, we probably got that, macho man. Why you got you can't tell what I can and can't do. But then when she broke it down, I was like, okay, it makes sense. I see where you're going, and that's one thing I respect so much about Karmen. She'll always, hey, I'm going here, I'm doing for do this. I'm like, in my mind. Plus, I wasn't used to no woman saying what they finna do or can they ask me what they can. I'm like, you wrong. If you need to go do it, get it done. But I understood that because her ex will do X, Y, and Z, and it's like, hey, and they'll say they're doing something else. So I said, okay, let me step back. I understood where she was coming from, and that's where that's where that whole and I believe that's some faith. Hey, look here, we right here, but hey, we getting we going somewhere because we may on the surface we may look perfect, but I tell you, people who try to say y'all cute, y'all look y'all this, y'all that. We accept it, but understand when you're doing stuff the right way. Understand there's gonna be some challenges. Like people try to convince us to live with each other before we got married, and we're like, no, we're not doing.
Just to piggyback off of that, I also made sure, and I told him, I'm not even going to lie. I lived with my ex-boyfriends. Okay. I'm not saying I'm not talking down on nobody that do that, but from my experience of me living with my exes, it did not go well for me. I'd done it three times. That wasn't for me. And I told him, I'm not moving in with my boyfriend. I'm not living with you unless we marry. And I meant that. And
That's it. And
I accepted that, but I'm like, look here, I tried it, but I didn't try it. I'm like, look here, because we know we're talking about keeping it real. We human. But even though I'm a man of God, I'm still a man.
And if it was for me, I wouldn't be where I'm at with him right now. I would still be with them if everything was going well. But no, I mean, even when things was close to our wedding, we just started doing marriage counseling. And a lot of stuff I kept telling him was just going wrong.
I said, look here.
With me. And
I was getting the house set up. I called a mate, like got it straight. I was like, we can get you down here. Went through marriage counseling, and
they even said themselves, because we were trying to move in a little sooner than later. And they was like, no, y'all too close to shacking up. Y'all too close in the game to be shacking up.
And the only reason why I was thinking about it, because as a man, and like I said, me and Carl was long distance. No, even though it's an hour and a half, look here, if you can't drive up the street to go see this person, you're in a long distance. I'm in a whole other city. Yeah. An hour and a half, 2 hour drive at most.
People come from Dallas to Jacksonville to see me, and I do the same thing, vice versa. I mean, even though some may not consider it as long distance, but it's an hour and a half drive.
At 911, you putting the wear and tear on your car.
And I told him, and I meant what I said, like, if I'm going to see you, I'm going to see you. I will make the time for the weekend to come and visit you. And I showed him that and did that. It's one thing if, like, we were in a different state, then, yeah, we're going to have to book flights, to see each other. And there's some people that we know that have done that. But so it's like, I'm grateful that we didn't have to do all of that. We can literally drive, but you got people that won't even put in the effort to do that. They drive an hour and a half to go see their person. That part. But that was the thing, like, we made it work. We literally talked on the phone every day. I don't have FaceTime, he got Android, I have iPhone. So we was using Facebook Messenger
and Google Duo.
and Duo to see each other's faces because it's like it's one thing we can talk on the phone, but it's like I want to see your face, you know.
It was some time, 'cause like I said, she's from the country, so every time we had to pause. Power was dropping halfway to the house. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it was struggling with me. I lived out in the country and we didn't have the best of a signal. So a lot of times calls be getting dropped or he can't, I'm in a bad area, he can't hear me, I have to restart my phone. So that was some other stuff that went into play. And so I had to kind of do what I could do. So we were able to talk on the phone, you know, here and there. But yeah, it wasn't, we made it work, period.
Yeah, we kind of really marched up in that long distance relationship. One thing I said about long distance relationship, it's beautiful, but it requires and this ties into that faith. You have to understand you're not with this person physically, so that faith you got to have a lot of trust.
Yeah, in fact,
You
yes.
don't know what happens when that phone hangs. You know, when that phone hangs up, y'all not there physically. You have to have that's where that faith. Like, okay, I believe it's there. I can't always see it. You know, like I said, I know a buddy of mine who was also in our way. Him and his wife for a couple years, they flew from Texas, Ohio every few months to see each other. So for those of y'all who see this podcast in a long distance relationship, find things that y'all like. You know, when you get ready to see each other, start having a plan.
Oh yeah.
Even if y'all just, sit around and chill because every second counts. Because once that person pull off in their vehicle, once that plane takes off, okay, now you're back to the reality. Okay, I'm back here, And also never leave, never go to bed upset with each other and never leave the house upset with each other. Not a long distance relationship, but from a relationship in general, because at the end of the day, after it was when we first had got married, it was something I did I didn't know, and comes I didn't want you late for work. I said, screw that. I'd rather be late for work than me walk outside and then because let's be real, you walk out the house and you got this on your mind, your day is all off. So that long distance relationship, you're gonna have to have some strong faith and a long distance relationship, and mainly it's the trust, and mainly sometimes like now a lot of things that Karmen has going on now, I can be here for her now versus long distance. Because keep in mind, y'all in whole two different cities. You have things you got going on. I have things she has going on. Also had started high school coaching too. Around the time matter of fact, we met. I was coaching high school. The next year I was coaching middle school. Now back at the high school. So, and people who know coaching high school football, especially during the season, it's brutal. You're early mornings, long nights. So it was times like, hey, when she's gone, and I'm just here by myself, and those are the lonely times, you deal with. But I say it all work out in the end. That's where you learn how to really love learn how to love each other. There's things you can do with long distance relationships. You can do virtual dates, you can do certain games.
Yeah.
Okay, what we watch a show or something.
Oh yeah.
You gotta make this sacrifice. You gotta put in the time into something, and
it also has to be consistency too.
Uh-huh.
Because you can't start doing one thing for X amount of time and then just completely stop doing it.
for sure.
Then it's gonna be like, what happened?
Right.
Right. And that start raising up like antennas and red flags too. Like,
Cause fellas, your wife, women know. You better pay.
I was gonna just like when he was explaining about he had the flu and the person who he was talking to at the time or dating at the time did not communicate. I was at the time talking to someone and I was going through the flu. I had the flu for a whole week. And not once have I heard from that person in a whole week. Then finally when they reached out to me, they were trying to charge me up as like, I heard from you. You ain't said, oh my God. Did you know if you would have reached out to me, you would have known I had the flu for a whole week. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm over here sick.
Uh-uh.
Barely do anything right now. It's like if you take the time to reach out to people, not be gone. We talk for this X amount of days and you just I don't hear from you for a whole week. And then put that on me. If you be consistent, you would notice, you'll be able, if you're consistent in talking every day, you'll know these things. But if you just stop communicating with me, or if I'm reaching out to you and you just stop communicating with me, what do you expect the other person to do? Keep reaching out? No. Then at that point, it's like, well, maybe they don't want to talk to me, or then you start, and I tend to be an overthinker. I start creating scenarios in my head, like, well, maybe this happened, that happened. And that's another thing too, and why I'm big on communication. I've grown up, the way I grew up is like always making sure people make it home or make it to their destination where they say they're gonna make it. And as soon as you like don't tell me that, I don't want to start thinking something bad happened.
Right.
So then it's like, okay, if they didn't respond, they didn't say nothing that night, then I try to reach back out to them, hoping they'll respond. But a lot of times, I may not get that. But I told him, like, that's why I'm so big on, like, I let you know where I'm going. If something happens, I'm going to let you know what happened. And then even if I don't get no signal, or I know I'm going to lose signal, I try to do my best to find signal somewhere to let you know, like, hey, I made it safely to my destination. And I'm going to let you know when I leave and let you know when I made it back to my other destination. And I expect the same in return. That's having that open communication. So you don't be thinking, why she ain't tell me when she was here, there, like, where are you, or you don't hear from me. That's why. And vice versa, because I've had in situations where the communication, I was told one thing and something else is going on. And then also you got to have the faith and believe, because I used to be the person going and trying to look for stuff, and then eventually I ended up finding out stuff. But that's because God revealed it to me, like, even though it was already there, I was still kind of blind to the fact of it being there, and I just had to go and see stuff for myself. But I trusted him, knowing that he was doing what he said he was going to do. But I remember also he was telling me, like, he's not really used to the whole communication, and I had to explain to him why I am the way I am. And that's just how I have to make sure that you're okay. And then all I ask is the consistency of that communication. I don't want there to be any room left of thinking anything bad happened to you, that's the big thing. What else did I leave out? Anything else out? No. But yeah, communication and consistency is important. Important aspects to have also in a relationship as well as a marriage, and comprehending communication.
Not being so quick to just listen to respond, but listen to really understand. A lot of times we want to just have our 2 cents in, but give each other that space to communicate. And I tell people all the time, me and Karmen, we have our disagreement. We rarely do we sit in the argument. Yeah. Because I'm not the person just fit to argue about it. Just sit in the argue. I don't like arguing. It's like cutting the wrestling from, well, trying to cut my wrestling. Y'all just hollering and okay, we know what's going to happen. Just come on, let's fight.
Yeah, he's all about like just go ahead and getting it done there and in that time frame. I'm not gonna lie, I used to be at a point where I was like, no, I don't want to talk about it right then and there. When I've been cooled down some, because when I'm already done checked out, I don't want to talk at that moment in time.
Yep.
Which is okay if you're, and this is something we've learned from our marriage counseling. You want to make sure that you do whatever the incident was or situation was, you want to still talk about it. Don't wait too long to get into it. Even if you may need if it's too heated at that moment, take a break of just to yourselves to cool down. Maybe even take a nap. For me, if I'm upset or angry, if I take a nap, I feel a whole lot better. After I wake up and I'll be ready to talk then. Because if you're in the moment, if you're really heated, you don't know what may come out of your mouth. And it's important to think before you just come out and say and act on your emotions. Because you may say something that will be very hurtful, you won't be able to take it back. So, I'll take it back, I'm sorry. So, make sure to discuss the matter still within that day. As he mentioned also, don't go to bed mad, angry at each other either. And then thinking you're going to talk about anything the next day. No, do it, still get it done that day, but just have some space between each other. Not saying space like you go leave and be gone. Not that kind of space. One person could be in this room, the other person be in this room. That kind of space. Because then if you go and leave on God knows where, that's going to create a whole other issue. Yeah. And that's like, where are you going? So, and that leaves other questions. Things start popping up in your head. because you don't have to go physically leave to go and have any space. And then it's like, where are you going to have, where are you going for you to feel like that's the place to have space, you know? And so that's something also I learned. We can still get stuff done and communicate what we need to communicate, but we just need to have some space within certain parts of the home. And then after we don't cool down, then come back and regroup. That way we're more calmer and have a clearer mind to be able to say, well, this is what was said and this is how it made me feel, and so on and so forth.
We have, I have enjoyed, I'm sitting here taking notes. I'm learning from y'all. I tell all of my guests that come on the show, hey, don't think like you're here just to tell us, like, I'm going to take some gems from you, especially here when you have to go through here things. I'm going to have to go home. I'm going to do some homework. I should have brought my notepad. I should be over here taking notes, but I'm just listening and enjoying what you're saying. We have covered 3 sections in this whole conversation, but it's just a beautiful thing of just flowing. Cause like I said, we're expressing how we feel. We're talking about it, and you can see how faith has empowered you both individual and how you you're empowering each other as a couple and how you're doing that with others. So we're going to switch the gears a little bit. So we've already got the base, we got the foundation down. We see how you both individually went through your seasons to get at each other, to figuring out what you both wanted and how did you brought that together. And now that look at y'all here, y'all married, y'all doing it, y'all a beautiful couple, and you here sharing your insights with us. So how do you individually, with you being the founder of Escaping in the Wilderness and with you being a football coach, how do you both keep your values of empowering, how you guys have been a great empowerment for each other? How do you empower the people that you encounter on a daily basis?
On a daily basis, me being in the coaching world, I let them know as a man, because what I deal with a lot of young men. I just really be my authentic self, being real. Everybody, I'm the type of coach. Yes, you hear about yelling and screaming and cursing. Um, I've done that, but also it be times where hey, I put my arm around my player. Coaching in the area I coach, I coach in. You deal with kids who come from a lot of broken homes. So I'm constantly, before I come home, I'm taking kids home and just doing that little 5 or 10 minute drive home. It's like, hey, I empower them. We sit there and talk, and I let them know, hey, look, I'm from the same area, that you come from, and I dropped. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure you saw yesterday. I met with a New York Jets football player who actually scored on a punt return. Xavier Gibson. Let them know, hey, look, these are people who came from the same area that you came from, but look at where they are now. And basically letting them know you don't have to be a product of your environment. You don't have to be a product of your environment. This is where you at right now. Sometimes in life you gotta play the hand. You gotta learn how to play the hands you've been dealt. Okay, you gotta learn. Sometimes it's like playing domino. You can still win with a bad hand. It's just you don't. And me empower them. It also teaches me. Hey, look, I'm here right now, but we're not gonna be here. We're not gonna be here long. You playing football here for Vel right now, but look here. Hey, let's start thinking about outside of school. I'm blessed to be a part of a young man's life who me and Karmen had he was on the verge of suicide. And I think it was like 2 o'clock that morning, I was getting a call, and we went to this boy's house. And this was during the summertime when she was coming back to visit. We went to this boy's house and just spoke, and it just spoke life into him, let him know. And he very talented kid. As a matter of fact, he just recently signed his letter of intent to go play football with Langston. So just certain things that just it may not be good with all the X and O's of football, but just being that person the kid can lean on, counsel. Like he calls me a lot. He was even one of the ones say, "Hey, Coach Johnson, thank you for what you have done for me." He also managed to while Karmen had called when I got out of practice. He's talking about he tell your wife excuse me, he even said he tell your wife hey your husband buy some snacks. He's sucking his way. I mean, I was gonna do it for him anyway, but he managed to sucking his way and getting some snacks after practice. But it's just certain things like that. And just let and they know I'm a minister as well, so I hit them. I don't just talk just Bible. I mainly talk a lot. You talk about real life lessons from, and And when I say real life lessons, I let them know, hey, certain people who was in some of y'all shoes, they chose to do this, and this is how their life turned out. But you can go listen to what us as coaches are telling you, and you can open doors not only just for you, but for your family, and also just listen to their story too.
How, with you being the founder of Escaping the Wilderness, how do you continue to use your values and how you've learned how to empower yourself and also empower your husband? How do you continue to keep that going when you come in and you encounter different people on a daily basis?
I feel like that resonates with me. That question resonates with the current. So currently, the type of work I'm doing right now, I work as a driver for a non-emergency medical transportation company, and so I'm being exposed to all types of different people, that I pick up and to take them to their appointments as well as taking them home. And my time doing so, I'm a very talkative, interactive person. And so I feel that certain individuals are just comfortable with just having conversations with me, even though I'm a complete stranger. And the conversation just flows, especially like, a lot of some of them I'm able to relate to them with, of like marriage, or letting them know I'm just, I'm a newlywed, just got married. Some of we don't have kids yet, school, or I'm in school, so on and so forth. And a lot of them, talk about asking me about my faith and everything. I believe in the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. He's the head of my life. He comes first in my life. And then, of course, my husband. And so there'll be times I do share with them of like not giving too much of everything about my life, but it's like, say for instance, when I talked about having like the stress-induced seizures, I just recently had a lady in my vehicle where she said she's not able to drive because she has epilepsy, and her husband, passed on already. She don't really have anyone. It's just her. And I was able to relate to her on that because I was at a point where I was not able to drive for X amount of months because of my seizures and anxiety that I deal with. And so I definitely understand it. But I told her, I had to get to a place in my life where I didn't want to fully depend on medication. Eventually the goal is to get off of all this medication. And when I started making lifestyle changes, like working out more, eating better, drinking more water, stuff like that. I mean, of course, it's just trial and error, but it led up to me going a whole full year of no episodes. And, I just share like different stuff, and I listen as well, because everyone, has from all walks of life have went through, maybe a not so good marriage. And then, but, I was like, well, there has to be a reason why the marriage didn't last that long, and then the person would tell me, oh, it's because the spouse was saying this, that, and the third about him. It was going behind his back, not treating him right. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I can see that why it didn't last long. But, I told him to still be hopeful. Even he said he's still working on himself, but he doesn't, eventually he sees himself, definitely being with someone else. Like, I always believe in, nobody is meant to just be by themselves, um, that we all deserve to have somebody of our own to be, to spend the rest of our life with. I've always believed in that, as well as, biblically, it says that in the Bible. I can't really.
Man, I think we say man should not.
Yes. And so, I have hope in him. And I know there's people that don't really believe in, like, they have to be with anyone, or, they prefer to be single, which is fine. I mean, if that's what your preference is, that's fine. But a lot of things you're not able to do if you don't have a partner, a spouse, or, like with children, other than, of course, adopting. If you want to be able to have your own children, how can you do that? It takes a man and a woman to be able to produce a child. Having raising a family together, it definitely takes two people. I mean, I know there's a lot of single mothers. It's like my mother, was a single mother, and so I seen how she went through having to work through like several jobs to make sure me and my sister, taken care of. But even with her, desires a partner, a husband, somebody that will help take a lot of the load off of her because she can't do it all by herself. I mean, yes, she's put in a position to where she have to, but it can get very hard at times trying to deal with that on your own. And I think that's another thing I had to come out of as a woman of being so independent and not depending on a man. There is just some things as a woman is not able to do that it's meant for a man to do. And another thing I had to work on was being more submissive and allowing him to be the man to do certain things for me that I know I may not be able to do for myself. For those who've just been around me from a child to me being a 32-year-old woman, you just have to see, like, be there through a lot of their life or like majority of their life to see there has been a change. And there's going to be people who will accept you of being a newer version of you and not whereas they're not trying to just still keep you in a space of where how once knew you, if that makes sense. Because there are people that have said that they admire me, admire us because of how far we have come. We're not the same individuals we once were years ago, like as a teenager, in college. My younger years, in my early 20s, I'm not gonna lie, I was not as wise as I am today. I was naive here and there. I was more so of not a leader, a follower and not a leader. I was doing a whole lot of people pleasing, trying to do this, that, and the third along with other people, or just accepting things as they were, because I didn't have my own mind at that time like I do now. And when people see that you're no longer that individual no more, you got some that are going to be happy about that and then want to know how did you overcome being, coming out of that into being the person that you are now, compared to those who only want to just still see you as that person that you once was. Even in college, not gonna lie, there was times I went to quite a few parties, not gonna lie, I've done things that I am proud of, that I have, had no business doing. Did it do anything for me? No, it didn't. But that was because I was following certain people that was doing those things and thinking, well, if they're doing it, I should do it too. Or maybe I'll be more accepted if I do that. But that was the mindset of someone who was being more of a follower, not a leader. And as well as people pleasing, are trying to have this persona of being cool or popular. But at what cost? It didn't do anything for me, but lead me into positions of just I wasn't being my own person, and being a better example for others. And when people ask me, like you mentioned before, it looks like got it all put together, or we're put together. It's like, no, it may look like that, but I keep having to keep saying, like, we're not perfect people. We've been through and done some things we're not proud of. It took a lot where we are now. It took a lot for us to get here. It took a lot of reflection and figuring out, okay, like, what am I doing with my life? Obviously, all these things are not going well. What is it that I'm doing to why it's not going well? What can I change to see a better result, a better outcome? Building a personal relationship with God was a big thing for me. And he just started opening my eyes to a whole lot of things. When it came about with doing Escaping the Wilderness, I had a different way of going about it, but I think things switched when I started involving more of like scripture. I was trying to just think of like real life things that's going on, but I wasn't incorporating. It's like I was adding God in there, but not fully adding him in there, if that makes sense. And so at first, yeah, people was liking it, but then when I started adding God more into it, I started noticing a change in the amount of people that were watching it. And it started getting discouraging because I feel like, well, nobody's watching this, nobody wants to listen to it, nobody's supporting me in it. I got to a point of like, I had to realize it's like, oh, who am I really doing this for? Am I doing it for me or am I doing it for him? And so I put myself to the side and realize I need to do this for God and not for me, because he wants me to. I don't remember why I'm doing this for. It's like I went through some stuff and I want to be able to help others. And so I put everything regarding me to the side and let it just be. I always would pray and make sure that everything that I'm putting out there is for him and not for me. Whatever he's wanting me to say, whatever comes out of my mouth, that is all from him and none of me, you know? And so I still stuck with it. And over time, there was like certain phases of where there was like a shift and like a change in how I was presenting myself and doing my videos. And then I started noticing more and more people actually gravitating toward the video, especially when they felt like it was resonating with them. And a lot of the videos would be like based off things like I went through. And even if it's something that that at the time they didn't go through it, but it's still like something that could be applied to them in another aspect of their life. And there was a point in time I did take, taking a break from it, like you mentioned before. I just feel like I was dealing with some stuff at the time, and I feel like I needed to take a break from it and then come back to it. And I was getting some sense of discouragement, and again, still was concerned about like not receiving the support from the people who I would think would support me. But no, over time, I realized that the people who are being impacted, that should be the only thing that does matter. If you're able to just at least touch one person, then you did make a difference. It may not mean much to other folks, but it means more to God, because he's using you as a vessel to do his work, to serve his people. And over time, like people that I once hung out with, or I still may hang out with to this day, would tell me that, they definitely don't see me as the same Karmen that I once was years ago. I just don't partake in a whole lot of things. I've definitely grown, especially if it's not benefiting me in any way. It's not helping me in any way. I don't really partake in it. My mindset have definitely changed, and I take my life experiences of what I've dealt with to be able to help others that's dealing with the same thing. If they're dealing with things in the home, I share with them what I went through and how I was able to overcome it. A lot of people look up to us as, us being married, but I think another thing that people don't get is that all these people, especially these celebrity marriages. I think that's another thing is us as people, we pay too much attention to these celebrity marriages, and I want to idol them and be like, oh, these are marriage goals. One thing I've learned is that whether you're married or not married, you do not want to be wishing or praying that you have something that what somebody else got or have, because you don't know, one, how they got there. Two, you don't know what even going on or what they deal with in that marriage. Like, just because those celebrity marriages look all like cupcakes and rainbows, you don't know what's going on in their household and their family. For you, and you should be happy with what you got, what you already have, and what God has for you. You don't know how people got there in the first place. You don't know how they got it. You don't even know if they even serving God, and what they got came from God.
That part.
They might be out here doing some shiesty day to get to where they're at, and you praying, I want to have what they got. They got this car, they got these clothes, they got all these businesses. You don't even know how they got it though, but you want what they have. They look amazing. Oh, I just love them. They go on these trips. But do you know what they do with their home? We need to start putting more out there that marriage is not going to be perfect. It's just not. And everybody want to put out there, make it seem like marriage is just perfect, but it's like y'all don't understand the type of work that has to be put in.
Because even though y'all are becoming one, y'all are still two different people.
Yes, like y'all are
two different backgrounds.
Yes, so that's another thing too. It's like we had to take a whole lot of unlearning some things of what we were used to and how we grew up learning from two different backgrounds. He's from the city, I'm from the country.
That's a big difference within itself.
It's like me as being a small town country woman, I was growing up a certain way. Him being a boy that's from the city, he was growing up a certain way. And you bring two different backgrounds together. It's like, there was some similarities, but there was a whole lot of differences.
Right.
And so that's where you have to come together, like, and be each other's helpmates and work together as a team. And that's something that I was just also telling one of my sorority sisters as well. Like, she's getting ready to get married, and they look up to us and asking us for advice, on stuff. And I know ahead of time, like, it's not going to be perfect. So I'm gonna go ahead and let you know that right now. It's not gonna be perfect. Y'all both, and they come from two different backgrounds as well. And y'all are going to have to be each other's helpmates. You're going to have to be there for him, and and vice versa. He need to be there for you. Y'all got to work together. Y'all got to be able to sit down and talk to each other about certain things. Like I said, I do recommend premarital and postmarital counseling.
Matter of fact, I think last month we did our 30-day, because most marriage counts, they'll do your premarital, then they'll do, with us, we're doing a 30, 60, and 90-day count. So yes, that is a must.
I think, and it definitely, it helps you already preparing yourself for what is to come.
And also, just because you're saying I'm praying for a godly man, you want a godly man. My dad, me being at PK, me growing up in the church, my dad always say you got to really be careful what you pray and ask God for, because if you're asking for a godly marriage, understand that is one, the enemy is going to attack the enemy is going to attack godly marriage. That's what that's what his design is to do, because Satan does not like you.
No. And one last thing I wanted to add, I know we're short on time. Another thing that I realized is that it's not always about what we want, it's about what we need. A lot of times we're looking for things that we want to have. Not saying we can't have wants, but it's like, but is that what's best for us? And when it comes to looking for that person that we desire, we focus too much more on okay, I mean, yes, there's nothing wrong with okay, he has to have, make sure he's a hardworking man, got a job, got a car, got a home, the basic things that we want the person to have, and there's nothing wrong with it. But then we start looking for other stuff, he needs to be 6 foot, he needs to be making 6 figures, putting up these unrealistic expectations, and then you get that, and then you realize, oh, this ain't what I wanted.
Yeah, shit.
And this is what he said. Well, yes, be specific on what you want, but again, what you're wanting, and then God's gonna give you what you want. Then you be like, oh, well, that ain't what I want. It was like, it's not what you're. Yes, be specific on what you're asking. I'll say of him, and not focus too much on the wants, and focus on what actually do you need. I know I needed a man who can love me the way I love, people, and, I need a man who's going to treat me the way I should be treated. I need a man that's going to take care of me and help take a lot of the burden off of me when I may not be able to do for myself,
If you love a woman that has been through some past trauma, she will hit you with a love that you had never knew existed.
Yeah. Definitely important to not always focus on the wants, definitely focus on what exactly you need for yourself and for your life. And I think that's all. I think that's all. That's pretty much it.
I have enjoyed this conversation. I just love the flow of the conversation and just hearing the openness. I'm telling you, I've learned so much. I just really just sat back. I have enjoyed listening to you guys give us insights and instructions, because me being a single woman and others, I have a mixed audience of people who are single, people who may be seeing people. So, but it's just good to hear coming from somebody that's went through the process and look where you are today. It's good you give me a lot of insight. And I've personally said I have learned so much just by enjoying this conversation, listening to you guys talk. And I just thank you guys for just taking this time and coming in and just sharing with us your insight. But where is somewhere my listeners can follow you guys? Also, purchase your book, Escaping the Wilderness.
Yes, it is a 40-day faith-based journal, allow you to be able to freely spend that. It also helps with that relationship with God. If that's something you feel like you're maybe struggling with, I will let you know ahead of time. You can come to God however you need to come to him. You don't have to be perfect. He just wants you to come to him and just talk to him. Let him know in your journal, hey Lord, or hey God, dear Lord, however you want to talk to him. Let him know this is what you're dealing with. You write down, there's a section in there what you're dealing with. Ask him to help you overcome this or how to get through this. And in the other section, there's a space where you can be able to find a scripture that applies directly to that situation that you're going through. It's definitely, and the reason why I did wanted to create a journal because there was a space where when I was dealing with one of the relationships I was dealing with at the time, it was getting to be a lot for me. I got into journaling, and that's what's helped me build a close relationship with God. And so I wanted to create this journal for others to be able to build their relationship with God as well. Or if they have a relationship, but they want to be able to find other ways to be able to talk to him, have the communication with him, that's an outlet. And so it's Escaping the Wilderness, a 40-day faith journey journal. It's available on Amazon. And as well as I do have apparel as well. I currently have hoodies and long sleeves available for purchase on my Printful store. I believe you provide that information. Yes, and Miss Michaela here has the link for those who are interested and would love to purchase that. I will be also working on a spring collection very soon, so be on the lookout for that. And for any socials, I am on YouTube. It is Escaping the Wilderness, and I am also available on Instagram. It is ETW Brand. Just go brand, I believe. Yeah.
Yes, please. By her birthday, you will not be disappointed. With Escaping the Wilderness. Matter of fact, I have a hoodie that I still wear, and I have a shirt. Matter of fact, I preached in one of Escaping the Wilderness shirts before. So yeah, she does have some that go to 5A. So any big guys out there, you're not alone. Okay. Also, my Instagram is I am blessed underscore for real, the number for real. My Facebook, DeAreon, Deshaun Johnson, my whole government name, DeAreon Deshaun Johnson. I'm working on my TikTok as well. A few other pieces I'm gonna be doing. I haven't pulled up right here. Matter of fact, once we come back from San Antonio, I will be preaching in Jacksonville at Churchill CME Church. And then once I come back that Wednesday, I will be headed back to Texas College. Of course, their 6 o'clock p.m. program. I was former Library Club president, and I'll be speaking, words of encouragement to Library Club members as well as former Texas. As well as Texas College students who are there, and them sharing my experiences. At my church, I preach every fifth Sunday. Every fifth Sunday at Morning Star Missionary Baptist Church, where I'm currently the youth pastor. Also, another event that I have coming up, it is on April the 6th. I will be one of the preachers or the speakers for the Youth Explosion. Me and another minister, his name is Devon Williams. We both will be preaching at the Youth Explosion. The church we'll be preaching at is called the Mighty Art of Safety Holiness Church, where the pastor is Pastor Floyd Yao and First Lady Joanne Yao. Okay. Yes, me, Reverend DeAreon Johnson, and Minister Javon Williams from Freedom Fellowship Church Freedom Fellowship Church of Corsicana. We will be the two guest preachers there. So if you're looking for a word on April the 6th at 4:00 p.m., you do not want to miss the mighty move of God. And before I preach, my wife always tells me, let the Lord use me. All right. Like I said, currently working on something with TikTok where I'm putting some more inspiration pieces out there. So TikTok, I have one, but I don't really use it as much as kind of scrolling. But where you'll see most of my stuff posted is my Facebook, my Instagram. I am blessed underscore for real. Also have some more preaching engagements coming up. I don't like to use engagements, assignments. I believe I use the word preaching assignments that's coming up pretty soon that I'll be dropping on my social media platforms. I'm open to people. If you want to ask me questions, I would not look past you or anything. If you have any questions or Kyla, we would love to come back and do another podcast.
For those who want to follow me, follow my Instagram page for Escaping the Wilderness. The handle is ETU Brand. Yeah.
Yours truly is the founder, and I promise you, you will not be disappointed with the inspirational message that you'll get. She drops a video every day, every week, every day, whenever she can. She drops a video, and I also share it on my page, so you will not be disappointed. I promise you, you will be uplifted.
Thank you guys so much for taking the time and just sharing your answer. Like I said, you have given us so many gems. You have shared so many, and the main thing of what I've enjoyed is hearing your testimony and seeing how you both individually. I'm a visual person, so while I'm hearing people talk, I'm like envisioning what they had to go through, and just hearing what you all had to overcome, and then what you had to go through to get to where you are today. And look what you're doing now. I have nothing but grateful, and you're more than welcome to come back to the Just Keep It Real podcast. You are more than welcome. But thank you all for tuning into this episode. I hope you have enjoyed. I hope you took some notes. This was a powerful and emotional episode for me. And I just hope you guys are just truly touched about what goes on. Also, follow me, The Real Michaela, on Instagram and on TikTok, The Real and Michaela, Michaelia. Also, make sure you like, share, subscribe to this video, give this video a thumbs up, and turn on your post notifications so that way you do not miss any real, unclean, and uncut episodes. Remember, be you. Don't let nobody else change you. Someone want to change you, then they're not for you. Stay safe, stay real, and always have faith in your empowerment. And we'll see you guys on the next episode.